moments like that where it just felt like I was being dismissed, where it felt like I was getting these pats on the head, even though I was substantially senior to him in rank. And I thought, oh, that's just feels off. I then had another moment where a leader senior to me was giving me feedback. And he said, listen, I think you're doing a great job, but sometimes I think you flirt to get your way. And I was like, flirt? Like, it just threw me into a tailspin because you know me. I mean, I don't ever try to use femininity to get my way or to make inroads. I did grow up in the Air Force as a communications officer, public affairs officer is what we call it in the military. I was the liaison to the community, to the media, sometimes to Congress, which means I had to be personable and I had to know how to engage people.
Very different from flirting.
Very different from flirting. And it threw me into such a tailspin because sometimes I share this story and I'll ask people, what does flirting look like to you? So if I were to ask you right now, like, what does flirting look like to you? How would you know if someone's flirting with you?
I think flirting, like when you're in a social place with someone and you're both trying to send signals to each other like, hey, I kind of like you, and you look to get those signals back. And, you know, we're social animals, we're attuned to it, you know, some better than others, but it's the dance of mating.
Yeah, but what are the behaviors you're seeing?
What are the behaviors you're seeing? Well, but I think context also matters. Like if I make a joke in a social context, it could be a flirt. If I make a joke in a professional context, just, you know, like I make a little self-deprecating joke.
Yeah.
You know, extreme flirting would be, I guess, touching, you know, somebody rubbing a knee or touching a shoulder. That's a flirt, you know. I guess the proverbial batting your eyelids.
Which I can't do.
Which I can't do either.
But
I don't know. It's hard.
It is, right? You make my point.
It's a good question. It's hard.
You make my point in that most of us can't describe it. And when we do, we say things like, well, you were smiling, you might have giggled. I actually touched one of your staff members this morning when I came in and I said, how are you doing? I touched his shoulders, right? And so these behaviors
Stop flirting with my staff.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so all of these behaviors that sometimes people say are flirtatious behaviors are the very same behaviors that I had to cultivate as a public affairs officer. Smiling, being
okay,